interviewed a very talented Rhode Island artist, Bill Gallagher. I asked him what inspires him and what are his future inspirations.
Okay, well, I'm inspired by the Pre-Raphaelites, which is a group of artists in 1850s England. They did a lot of folklore and legend. Also, I've always had a love for Art Deco, Art Nouveau, because I went to school in Florida. So, of course, there's a lot of Art Deco buildings and whatnot down there. And I think what it is because I also have a training as a fashion illustrator. And I'm from the 1980s, that's when I went to school. So you take the fashion illustration background,
Vibrant.
the Art Deco, the Art Nouveau, and the Pre-Raphaelites, and you kind of just mix it all together. So it's kind of eclectic, but those are probably the four things that drive what I do and how I do it. And at the time, I had already been to school. I already had the fashion illustration background. I worked as an illustrator for about 4 years for a company called The Fair in Worcester. And then I fell into the jewelry industry because it's Rhode Island. And I became a technical illustrator and a renderer and a designer of jewelry. And so when I found the Pre-Raphaelites, I was like, well, this is kind of like the fine art end of it. And so that's when I decided to start doing my own type of Pre-Raphaelite paintings.
One of your pictures upstairs is the Titanic. So there's a story behind that.
Absolutely,
and,
that was a big influence also.
Yeah.
I had never been to a Broadway show ever, and I happened to see them perform one day on TV, and it was just so moving that I said I have to go to New York and I have to see the show. And I saw the show, and I just thought that I was completely amazed. I was just floored. And then when on the way home, I'm like, I have to draw these people. And so I came home and I did a couple of portraits of them, and I sent them to the Lumpfontaine Theater, and I got these amazing letters back from two of the performers who were so fantastic.
Wow, that's great.
Then it was embarrassing, but this is how it worked out. My mother knew I was going again, and she wrote to one of them, and she says, if there's anything that you can do, he's going with two of his friends. It's his birthday, and he wrote back and he said, have him meet me by the stage door, and I'll give him a backstage tour, and I'll show him where his paintings hang inside the theater in New York. So, a month goes by, we go to the show, we waited by the stage door. Sure enough, he showed up, he opened the door, he said, his name was Martin Moran. He says, are you Bill? And I said, yeah. He goes, come on in. And me and my two friends, we went in there. And he gave us a backstage tour, and he took us up to his dressing room that he shared with two other people. And the paintings were hanging over the dressing room mirrors in a New York City theater. And I was like, how amazing is that? Yeah. It was just so fantastic. It was so very nice of him, too.
Right.
And so it's probably, I think it was probably one of the best days of my life ever.
You can have two people that are so talented, but one does so much, and then the other, struggles to get anything done. And
I've had my bouts where I do okay, and then there's nothing, But for me, I love the downtime because that's when I do paintings. And
that's true.
So
you get creative.
Yeah, I think now later in life, I'd rather concentrate on being the fine artist rather than the technical illustrator.
Or someone who pumps things out for
companies
or other people's profits, but more for your enjoyment.
Right. I'm not against it. I certainly would, if the opportunity came, I would certainly jump into that again. But I have to say, I'm getting more of an appreciation for the fine art and the paintings, the paper mache, the fashion illustrations. Getting back into that now because that's like an art form in itself, and I think it's kind of neat because it's like when we're kids we started doing art because it was fun and you enjoyed what you were doing and nobody was telling you what to do. You just kind of did your own thing, and that's where I'm at now. So and like the fun's back in it now, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. About the art. Okay, so I made a paper mache E.T. And he was our homecoming float for 1982, Smithfield High School. And a lot of people took pictures of it, and somebody sent them into PM Magazine. And which was our local, kind of a local show. And the hosts were Sheila Martinez and back then Matt Lauer.
Oh.
And the story was a lot better a few years ago, but anyways, so they gave me some lines, and I had my thing with Sheila, and she's like, okay, I'll say this, you say that, I'll say this, you say that. So I was like, okay, got it. So, and I think I was like maybe 15 at the time, and so she told me what I had, she did her thing. I noticed she was looking at the camera, so I would look to the camera as well as I delivered my lines. And they were so happy, like when the scene ended, that it just went like that on the first take. Matt Lauer came up to me at the end, and he got me in a headlock, and he gave me a noogie, and he said, "You're not getting my job, kid." Got on Instagram, I think, in probably just after February of 2019, and all of a sudden, with these hashtagging, like the stuff goes all over the world, and people all over the world sees it, and then you can, and then there's people that you've always admired that you can actually, send them a message, send them the work, whatever, or they find you just through hashtags and whatnot, and I've had some great conversations with some really great people.
And you started this before COVID happened, so it wasn't a struggle to get onto this train.
With social media, it really keeps you kind of striving to keep pumping out new work and getting feedback and seeing who likes it and whatnot, and it's kind of the incentive to just keep going and keep creating.
Yes, that's you do get a lot of good feedback, I hope.
Yeah, you do. Well, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
So, which is fine.
I don't really want to hear about
Not
those.
everybody's going to like you.